Hello and welcome again to another episode of How to Avoid Murder and Other Awkward Situations. I am your host Dave, and with me always is the lovely Laura. And tonight, we're going to discuss something gruesome and something horrible. We may laugh, we may make some jokes, we use gallows humor here. It's not for the faint of heart, you may be offended. And if you're a delicate boy that plays the drums in an alt-rock band from Chicago, you will be offended, and you probably should listen to something else, something that decent folks listen to. I wouldn't know, because I'm not listening to it. And so, without further ado, let's proceed. Okay, welcome again to a very special episode of How to Avoid Murder and Other Awkward Situations. With me, as always, is the lovely Laura.
Hello.
And I am the lovely Dave. And my ice cubes are a-crinkling. That's a word. And,
after we made that no ice cube rule last
time. There's no... I drank wine last episode, so tonight we are drinking Bulleit Bourbon with a touch of bitters. How is it?
It's delicious.
Good.
Okay,
so,
don't over-crinkle.
What's our special episode about tonight?
Well, our special episode, in honor of a very special day for myself and other mothers of the world, Mother's Day, is coming up in a few days. And so we thought we'd have a very special episode devoted to murders involving mothers.
Yeah, and
I
hate Mother's Day. It's I do like the word motherfucker, and I think
that's a great word.
It's been lost.
Mothers love being mothers for the most part, except those that murder their children. But Mother's Day kind of sucks. I mean, it's a lot of pressure on the kids to get their mom something, and frankly, they don't have any money, and so they have to make you some macaroni necklace, like a handprint picture. And then the moms have to pretend to love it. Often the moms get woken up early for brunch.
It forces a lot of
bed,
people,
which is the worst.
Only a certain
Nobody
segment of the
wants to do it, and really, it's like, oh, gee, thanks. Oh, thanks for bringing me breakfast at 8:30 in the morning in bed, as a thanks for doing everything for you, literally every other day of the year.
And good point. Breakfast in bed. It's
worst.
Like sex on the beach or sex in the hot tub.
Nope.
Sounds good until you do it.
Yeah, it does
Incredibly
not
inconvenient.
sound good to me. Hint, hint, hint. Okay.
Anyway, it's two things I enjoy: breakfast and bed, but not together.
No.
Back to brunch, though. I feel like that's one of the big problems with Mother's Day. It forces people...
I'm not sure when people got the idea that moms love brunch.
No. You gotta let me finish my goddamn sentence, Laura. It forces people to do something that they're not accustomed to doing, that's brunch. Only a certain segment of the population really likes brunch. Most people just get kind of annoyed. It's like, is it breakfast? Is it lunch? I want breakfast, I want lunch. It's like, I want to order an omelet, but nah, I gotta get a bagel with lox on it. I don't know.
Hey, moms, I propose that beginning next year, we just get rid of the brunch, and we have Mother's Day, like, happy hour, but we have it the night before without anybody besides just ourselves. Just mothers. Go out by themselves and just have drinks.
It's a motherfucker.
That's a mother's celebration, like... You get to celebrate by getting away.
You deserve to go away for a long time.
I don't want to go away for a long time. I just want to go away for a little time. And then come back.
When you hear the word motherfucker, what comedian do you think of?
What comedian?
Yeah. Do you think of any comedian when you hear the word motherfucker?
I don't know. Lots of comedians.
Richard
Pryor is what I was going to say.
And I feel like somebody said once...
Rest in peace.
Yes, seriously, we should kind of love Richard Pryor. One of the greats. But no, somebody said every time someone says motherfucker, he should get like a quarter. You know, because he
did really like bring that word out into the pop culture... whatever. I don't know.
Are the kids saying motherfucker a lot these days?
I don't know.
It was a big word in the 80s and 90s.
In
the 80s.
Don't feel like that word's going away anytime soon.
I know, but I just feel like it's so... I don't know. I mean,
use that word way too much.
It
just has it has a good punch to it.
It has a nice little impact.
It does.
What is it? I mean, what do you think the first time
I feel like it's a real big insult. I don't know. Are they saying like...
It's a great word.
I don't know where it came
You
from.
You are a motherfucker. Like, you're the kind of person that fucks other people's mothers. I mean,
that's kind of how I hear it.
like
yeah.
MILF kind of thing. I don't know.
I feel it's not that flattering.
No.
Which probably doesn't speak that well of mothers. Anyway.
I feel like it's flattering if you can kick their ass after saying that. But I mean, the guy did fuck your mother, so I don't know. I mean, it's like, that's what you get, motherfucker, is better than you are a motherfucker, and now I have to fuck you up.
Anyway.
It's a good word.
So when you think of, like, murderers who, like, there was some big mommy issue component, who do you think of?
My all-time crush. It's my super secret crush that I've had on somebody for a long time.
Uh-oh.
Lizzy Borden.
Aw.
Yeah, I've always kind of fantasized about, I don't know, taming her, maybe being the guy that makes things right for her. And I don't know. But I have like a very hot...
She killed her dad, too, though.
She
killed her... Wasn't it her stepmom?
Her stepmom.
Her stepmom.
But
stepmoms, you are part of Mother's Day. I'm going to say that right now. It totally includes you. That's why we are including Lizzy Borden.
Stepmoms have it rough. She murdered
her stepmom.
No one...
The stepmom's like, Jesus, I didn't even fucking ask for this.
That's the worst role. It's like,
God.
I'm a stepmom. Get ready to hate me. It's just like...
Oh, great. I get portrayed as evil in every single Disney movie. Thanks a lot.
Your parents are dead, and here comes your stepmom.
God. Well, parents aren't dead usually when there's a stepmom, just in Disney.
No, but Lizzy Borden, I mean, in my mind, she was very goth. She wore all black. She liked to...
Was she in mourning because her mother was dead? Is that why she was wearing all black?
I don't know. I know very little about her.
I don't either. All I know is Lizzy Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. And when she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
That's true. It's a fact. It's a lot of math.
That was like the forensic report right there. That was the whole thing.
I mean, mad respect.
You can visit the Lizzy Borden house, by the way.
I want
field trip.
Dress you up like Lizzy Borden later, which would probably be like a cloth robe. Maybe some sensible shoes.
I'll make sure my ankles aren't showing.
Oh, don't show those ankles! I cannot control myself.
Oh God!
I don't know what that voice was, but it was probably insensitive.
Like
It's the guy from the first Star Wars prequel who sells auto parts or whatever. The vaguely ethnic alien. No, I just think that if you're going to kill somebody with an axe, that's the way to do it. A good old fashioned. There's not enough axe murderers these days.
I know. Well, I was just reading something about. I was looking up kids who killed their parents. Some kid, a 16-year-old who I'm not going to remember where it was, but who basically went to school and told some girl that he was friends with that he had just murdered his whole family, and he had murdered them all with an axe. That's
a lot of work.
There wasn't really a clear motive either. I read that said something like maybe it was over like an album he had bought. Funny
story. Ugh. I had probably seen more movies about people getting killed with axes before I ever got my chance to handle a real axe. I don't know how old I was, but like the first time I got an axe in my hands, I was like so excited because I thought it was gonna be like super sharp and it'd be like cut through things like a lightsaber. It was a lot of work. It's like chopping wood with it. This is a pain in the ass.
My uncle actually chopped himself in the foot cutting wood with an axe when he was a teenager.
Which uncle? Uncle Mike or Uncle Footless Phil?
Well...
Oh, probably Footless Phil. Yep. Yeah. Back to the... So
Lizzy Borden, she gets an honorable mention. She killed both of her parents.
Yeah.
Did she kill a maid, too?
I think she killed... It was, And again, we want to recognize blended families in this show,
we
too.
We do.
Just because you kill someone that's not your blood and their parental finger, that should count for something.
Yes.
All right, so that's my secret crush.
Okay.
No longer a secret. What else you got, Laura?
I've got two fellas who come to my mind when I think of murder and mothers. They're both named Ed.
That's a good killer name.
It is. All right, so the first person that I would like to talk about...
Go on.
...is Ed Gein. Do you know Ed Gein?
Oh, I know Ed Gein.
Yeah.
Is it Gein or Gein?
It's Gein, I'm pretty sure. Let me see if it says... Let me see if I can look online, but I think it's Gein. He was also known as the Butcher of Plainfield, which is a pretty fucking badass serial killer name. But you know what? He wasn't really a serial... I mean, I think he did kill a couple of people, but he was not so much a serial killer as he was like a like a completely fucked up kind of taxidermist / fashion designer / grave robber.
What's he the butcher of, though? It's a pretty small...
Plainfield.
Small area.
Plainfield, Wisconsin. I'm not familiar with it, but it does not sound like real big.
Butcher of Boston sounds way better.
Right, exactly.
That's right, butcher.
You're like, how many people live in Plainfield? 250, huh? Well, anyway, yeah. So, Ed Gein was sort of one of the guys who... Ed Gein was one of the inspirations for Psycho.
Very inspirational man.
Yeah, he was a big inspiration for Psycho. So his mother, he had a really overbearing mother, Augusta. She was like a large, loud, bossy woman who bossed his dad around a lot. She was real religious. Ed had a brother.
Harry Crumb?
Nope.
Oh, because fall in line with his themes.
Ed had a brother who... Ed and his brother never, ever got married because their mom kind of indoctrinated them with this sort of fire and brimstone type religion and told them women were evil and women were full of sin and they couldn't trust women and women would never treat them well. And she really just fucked them up royally.
Actually, that seems pretty accurate so far.
Well, anyway, so, so Ed Gein was sort of a homebody, lived at home with his parents always. And his dad finally died. I think Ed was by then like in his 40s. And then his brother mysteriously died. Nobody ever really figured out why. It seems
it's Plainsfield.
Seems likely. I mean, we could do a whole episode on Ed Gein, but now we'll just go through the quick. Seems likely that he could have possibly had something to do with his brother dying because he was happy as a clam after his brother died because it was just him and his mom.
Are clams really
alone.
Are clams really that happy, Laura? I'd be pissed off if I had the filter feed.
Well.
And that credit goes to Tony Zaret, a joke he made in high school.
That's a good one.
Oh, God. Tony Zaret. God. Follow him at TonyZaret.com.
Oh, just plugging all your friends.
I don't know if that's a thing or not, but yeah.
Anyway.
Bonus.
Yeah, so if you haven't listened to any of our other episodes, don't judge them by this one, because we're just doing this
it's like a quick one hit Mother's Day.
Fly.
So let's
so let me just get down to the what?
No, yeah, I'm just saying let's get to the mom killing.
Let's get down to Ed Gein. All right, so anyway, Ed Gein's brother dies, and then Ed is happily alone with his mother in their house in Plainfield, out in the country.
Hey, Mom, it's me, Ed. Just you and me now.
And Augusta, spouting off Bible verses about the sin of women, and
I made a John 3:16 sign.
You can just imagine it, though. Like, he was this sort of quiet, little guy, and she was this big overbearing mom, and he was obviously psychotic at some point.
Mom, I got some muscle formula so I can get as big as you. We can work out together.
She was a big woman, apparently.
21-day fix.
He doesn't look like he was that big. He kind of looks sort of like he's all kind of hunched over in pictures you see of him.
I'm a wrestler. I'm trying to make weight.
A wry smile.
I'll give me bigger, but I'm going with the 140 weight class.
I hope you can't hear the dog drinking his
water. It just sounds like I'm getting a blowjob.
Well, you're not.
Nope. No, I'm not. Go on.
Anyway, so...
And we're back. My apologies to Tony Zaret. Go on.
Where was I? Okay, so Ed was alone with his mother at last, which he loved his mother, but I feel like there was some deep psychological issues there. But anyway, long story short, when his mother died, he really went off the rails. He ended up, killing 2 women and digging up a whole lot more.
What year was this?
He killed the women between about 1954 and 1957. He killed the 2 women in the 50s, but then he continued to... He dug up a lot of dead bodies, and what he was doing was he was making stuff out of them. He made a lady suit. Oh, he was also an inspiration for, of course, Buffalo Bill.
I believe Thomas Kincaid did a whole series of paintings about him, too, but those are the most valuable ones in his collection. It was his darker...
Little-known secret.
Yeah.
So he made... Can I just read you real quick? And this was all apparently like...
Wait, is a lady suit like a suit for a lady or a suit
made
out of a... Oh, that's even better.
A suit made out of a lady. Here's what they found in his house when they caught him. I won't get into all the details of him because you could really go on and on about him. But anyways, they found tons of human bones. They found a chair that was covered with human skin, skulls on his bedpost, which is pretty fucking metal. Some skulls that were sawed off, made into bowls. And then they found a corset made from a female torso, skinned from shoulders to waist, leggings made from human leg skin, masks made from the skin of female heads, Mary Hogan's face mask in a paper bag, and her skull in a box, and Bernice Warden's entire head in a burlap sack. Her heart was in a plastic bag in front of his stove. There were 9 vulvae, the plural of vulva, in a shoebox.
Doesn't sound evil to me, just sounds really thrifty.
Well, yeah, he was like a Martha Stewart ahead of his time. He was he was crafty. What he was trying to do was dress up as his mother, and then he would go outside and he would like sing and dance around because he lived in the middle of the country where nobody could see him. So that, of course, sounds like he was also inspiring Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? With the human mask and like, remember that scene when Leatherface like outside with the mask on and he's like swinging the chainsaw wildly in the air?
That sounds more like he was inspired in A Star is Born, but yeah, either way.
Anyways, I was trying to read this whole list, and it's quite extensive. A belt made out of nipples, 4 noses, a pair of lips on a window shade, a lampshade made from the skin of a human face.
5 golden something!
Anyway, so, yeah.
So there's a mom
He was digging
here.
up women that he thought resembled his mother. And then he was taking them home and making mom suits for himself. Because he loved his mama.
Everybody just wants to date his
mom.
Everybody just wants to unearth their mother. Wait, so is mom still alive at this point?
No, I forgot to tell you that part. Yeah, no, his mom died. No, I said it. I said his mom died and he went off the rails.
Oh, okay. That's right.
When his mom died, he completely lost his mom.
But he didn't kill his mom, though.
There's a lot more about him, but, he was so obsessed with his mother and so in love with his mother, not necessarily in a sexual way, but just like she was the only woman that mattered to him, that he wanted to literally crawl into her skin and become her. So he did the next best thing that he could, is make woman suits for himself.
It's pretty fucked up.
It was pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess most of the other things that I'm thinking of don't involve people killing their moms or being obsessed with their moms. It's the moms killing the kids.
Okay.
That's kind of how I view mothers, and I don't know, most women in general. It's just one push away from murder at any given second.
I mean, it is stressful being a mom, so,
And all that sitting on your ass and having people please you and yelling and screaming and, total pass for any kind of responsibility for your behavior. It's
anyways,
really hard.
Who are you thinking of?
One of my all-time favorite crimes, all-time favorite, like every level of this crime is amazing. The Susan Smith.
Ugh.
And I know it's like, I mean,
when was that? In the 80s?
no, that was in the 90s.
In the 90s?
I believe. But, no, just the fact that Susan Smith, basically, she murders
94.
2 of her kids.
Yeah.
By pushing their car into a river. And,
Buckled them into their seatbelts first.
Right. Pretty
fucking horrific.
And again, not to get into like the humane ways to kill your kids, but if they're already in the car, just park them in a garage somewhere and gas them so there's no pain or suffering. Then throw them somewhere.
That's awful.
It is awful. So that's bad enough. Okay, so she's a horrible person. She's doing this because her boyfriend's mildly annoyed with the kids. That's fantastic too. That she's trying.
I thought she had a boyfriend who did not want kids, and he was breaking up with her because she had kids.
I said mildly annoyed. You probably just said, mildly annoyed. Was breaking up with her, whatever. I mean, like, I don't like your nose. I got a nose job. I don't like your kids. They're gone.
Oh my god!
But the best part of this is the racial aspect. How she just randomly says, some black dude kidnapped my kids and took my car. And there's a manhunt for random black guy going around. And it's on like
9 days America. Long.
She's on morning show. And like, she's not. And like, I don't care how you retrofit this. She was not a suspect. Like
I remember that. Yeah, everyone was so sad for her.
Yeah.
So worried for her. Oh, her kids. Oh my God. The nightmare. Carjacking was kind of a big deal in the 90s. I feel like there was a lot of talk of carjacking.
Amongst white people who were concerned they're going to get carjacked.
Exactly.
And like every white person outside of a major city, whenever they saw a black person or an Indian person or any person with a slightly olive skin tone, thought, oh my God, this is it. I'm getting carjacked. Yeah,
so she really played into that whole thing, and
it was great. It
garnered a lot of sympathy for herself for about a week.
Yeah, and to this day, whenever I hear of a kidnapping, an Amber Alert, it's always with this healthy dose of like, it's probably the dad or the mom killed them, and it's usually, one or the other, which leads me to Casey Anthony.
Oh, Casey Anthony.
And I'll let you run away with that one.
No, you run away with Casey Anthony. I feel like you know more about that.
Well, my brother actually partied with Casey Anthony.
That
in
is
Florida.
not something to brag about, but okay.
I am throwing him to the bus a little bit here. He's the father of the kid. He feels bad about it. No. He was in Orlando. He's the same age as Casey, and they had mutual friends and were in the same areas at the same times. They weren't good friends, obviously. They weren't even friends, but
he met her and he hung out with her.
Right.
What did he say about her?
She was just some crazy random Florida party girl. I mean,
that sounds about right.
Didn't use the phrase Florida trash, but I think if you're in
it was implied.
Well, here's the thing: if you're in your early 20s and you're in Florida, why not be trash? I mean, I'd be trash or trashed. I mean, trash or trash, is there a huge difference? But no. So Casey Anthony, this one,
was awful.
There's no easy way to explain what happened here because she knew her child was missing or dead for a month and really did nothing. And
she partied.
She got away.
She did a lot of partying in that month.
She argued that their dad sexually abused her, which, in his defense, she was pretty hot.
Ew.
So,
gross.
Yeah.
You know what? I hate when people use excuses like that. You know.
That's not an. I'm joking.
No. I don't mean that. I mean, I hate when people use excuses. No, I know you're joking. I hate when people say things like, "Well, I was abused," because a lot of people are abused and they don't murder their children, or they don't become serial killers, they don't become rapists. You know, there has to be something else on top of abuse. Well, abuse does not explain it.
The woman killing the kids, I mean, it's a theme throughout history, but it's usually men writing the story because of the way they view women. Women very rarely kill their kids. I mean, the preservation aspect is one thing where you kill the kids to protect them from some kind of harm. That's interesting, but the woman killing the kids for convenience, that goes against
chilling.
Yeah, and really,
chilling.
You don't see a lot of that in nature.
Well, it's not natural. Yeah, that's not because I think that
except don't some animals kill like
rabbits will kill their young if they think they're in danger.
I
don't know why.
What's the chimpanzee thing though, where they will abort a fetus?
Oh, but that's not quite as intentional. I don't think.
Or lions. Something.
Well, that's the male lions. Don't even get me started on those assholes.
Lions are assholes.
They are.
They're actually evil.
Well, I mean, the male lions. Fuck those guys.
Oh,
they come in, they kill all the young that aren't their own, and then they rape all the female lions, and then they make them hunt for them. They
enable the female lions. They're fucking enablers. The whole.
Anyways, but how did Casey? I forget how Casey Anthony got completely off scot-free, right?
Her defense attorney was basically Bill Murray from Wild Things,
and he somehow used that argument that she'd been abused or something, or she'd had a terrible childhood to get her off. And they said that it was an accidental death, right?
I don't. Yeah, they said. Well, I don't know. The prosecution said it was a murder. She argued that he drowned or something in the pool. And again, guys, we're not researching this. We're just doing this as a bonus episode.
We're basically just talking
don't
about
judge,
don't
hate.
Remember from memory.
Yeah.
This is a research-free bonus episode.
It's a fun
just chatting
drive
about
to work
murderous
on a Friday.
moms and moms that got murdered.
Mother's Day is a motherfucker. That's the theme here. No, but Casey Anthony... Again, we could do some bullshit corrections later. We might do episodes on all these people in depth. But yeah, it was a drowning or something. But like, Casey Anthony's good looking. She played well to a jury. This attorney never really had that many big cases before this, and he won.
Amazing.
Nobody thought she was going to get off on this thing, and really, it's the kind of thing where I think she may have been facing the death penalty, definitely life in prison.
Oh yeah.
And but she did definitely testify that she was sexually abused, and that's why she was traumatized and didn't report it. And yeah, she was arguing it was accidental death. I think she got convicted of a very small offense, and she got time served because she had been in jail for quite a while too.
Yeah.
And her dad is adamant that I did not rape her, but what dad would cop that?
Right.
I raped the shit out of her.
Who knows? Yeah, but all I know is even if she was not an excuse to murder your 2-year-old, was such a cute little girl too. Why didn't she just drop her off put her in a basket and drop her off on someone's porch? Well, I have another one that was similar to more like a Susan Smith than a Casey Anthony.
Go on.
It was earlier, but it's very Susan Smith-esque.
Okay.
Diane Downs.
Not familiar.
Well, Diane Downs in 1983 and murdered her. I think she had 3 kids. Yeah, 3 kids. No, she didn't kill all 3 of them. She shot all 3 of them. She only killed 1. That means 2 of her kids fucking survived.
Woman.
But she also told the police that a, quote, bushy-haired stranger committed the crime.
I resent that as a bushy-haired man.
I know. So she tried to do the same thing as Susan Smith. Oh, my God, somebody, flagged me down the side of the road and shot my kids. Well,
it was a Jew. It was a bushy-haired Jew.
But the reason that she did it is because she was obsessed with a married man who she knew did not want to have kids with her.
He smelled of bagels and silver.
Getting those kids out of the way. Creepy. They made a Farrah Fawcett movie based on that story.
God, Farrah Fawcett had a nice run.
You know, she made some great... Remember The Burning Bed?
I remember the idea of The Burning Bed.
I saw it. And that was based on a real case.
Does the bed actually burn?
She lights her husband on fire in his bed.
Huh.
He was horribly abusive. He fucking deserved it.
That never bothers me that much, really.
He deserved it.
I kind of like revenge killings a lot.
Yep.
Oh my god, I just had a case recently. Get
Yeah.
this shit. And this is all... I mean, no names are being used here, but this guy is... it's a sealed record, but he was raped by a neighbor who was 3 years older than him when he was like 9 years old. All right?
Okay.
So when he turned 15, he's bigger, stronger. Neighbor's now 18. He gets a video camera, goes to his house, beats the shit out of him, and rapes him on video and puts it on social media as revenge for him raping him.
But how do you know that he was actually really raped in the first place?
That behavior, well, that's what he admitted in therapy. He had
Holy
no history of violence, no criminal record. And again, this is all juvenile stuff, and then but we can't get any more details than that. But like, yeah, and so I'm dealing with some aspects of the case right now. But like, I'm like talking to the mother, so we're working on the release and all this kind of stuff. And I'm how to rehabilitate him, get back, and she's like, I would have just killed him. I'm like, he would have been better off because of the whole sex offender registry issue,
right? If
he just bashed his head in with a brick. At 15 years old.
He didn't want to kill him. He wanted to humiliate him, just like he'd been humiliated.
And he did.
Yeah.
And
that's fucked up.
It is fucked up.
That's brutal.
Some serious revenge shit.
Jesus. That really fucks with your head.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I suppose it does. And that's why I don't rape people.
Oh my god. Rape is horrible. Understatement of the year.
Anti-rape.
We're anti-rape and anti-murder. They're both terrible. Don't do it. Don't do it, kids. Do not rape and murder. But so here's my, dare I say, favorite murderer who murdered his mother. I don't want to say he's my favorite because he is
dare you
absolutely terrifying and horrible and misogynistic, and in fact,
my ears are burning.
Was sort of paraphrased in American Psycho. Our old friend Ed Kemper.
Underrated, underknown.
Well, yeah, people don't know him, and he was actually a nightmare. He, first of all, 6'9". Now, if that isn't a fucking monster, I don't know what is. He was called the co-ed butcher or the co-ed killer. And he was really something. He had a really fucked up childhood, as many people do. He lived in Montana, I guess, with his mother, who was abusive, I think, like emotionally and verbally abusive. I'm not sure about physically, but apparently, again, she was overbearing. She yelled at him a lot. She was controlling. He hated his mother. His parents split up, and he was a real fucking behavior problem from a young age. He would do weird things, play weird games, and hurt people and hurt animals. Like, he was already a troubled kid, and he was probably already fucking huge in his teens. So eventually his mom sends him to live with his paternal grandparents.
He was so deliberate in everything he did, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, I know. So
Terrifying.
he goes to live with his paternal grandparents at 15, shoots both those grandparents. Just cold-bloodedly. And when they asked him why he did it, he said something like, okay, that's probably not the exact quote, but he said something like, I just wanted to know what it felt like to kill grandma. And then when they said, well, why'd you kill your grandpa? He said, well, I didn't want him to suffer with having grandma dead.
See, it's just compassionate.
So he went to the psychiatric hospital after that. He was only 15, and he's real smart, and he's such a smooth sociopath that he kind of snowed his therapist into really trusting him. And so his therapist at the psychiatric hospital allowed him to help do file work and stuff, and he had access to all these people's files. So he read about people's crimes, read about psychiatric tests, read about how people get off on an insanity plea. So, that was it was a bad idea. But I think that's just screams like classic sociopath right there. Like, you can act so smooth after you cold-bloodedly kill your grandparents that people think you are, they think you're okay. So they did. They let him go. So at 21, he was released. And he was a guy who, this is sort of the most boring part of his murders, that he killed hitchhikers. He picked up hitchhikers. This was like in the, let's see, when was it? In the 70s. And it was in California. So it was like a big hitchhiking time. Like, it wasn't just like, like now you see someone hitchhiking, you're like, what is wrong with that person?
I'm like, you're an all-you-can buffet for a murderer. Never say hitchhiker.
Exactly. I think this person escaped from prison. That's what I think.
Or they're looking for a fight, and they're like, I'm a murderer, and I want to fight another murderer because that's going to pick me up. I mean, when you see hitchhikers, they don't look like people that you want to get in your car.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, but I think in the 70s in California, it was the norm, probably. Like, I think, young people just hitchhiked. So I could go on and on and on about his crimes, and maybe someday we'll talk more about them, but he killed several poor young female hitchhikers, picked up a couple of pairs of women, and then he would shoot them, he would decapitate them, he would rape their corpses. He was big into corpse rape.
Ooh, corpse rape. Oh.
He was, one of those guys who really liked to have sex with dead bodies.
Corpse rape is, to me, that's the top tier of serial. That's what really divides. I mean, like, the great serial killers, they love them some corpse sex.
Yeah, you're really fucked in the head if you like having sex with corpses. So, like, you would think to yourself, Jesus Christ.
I'm like, just marry a wasp.
Stiff upper lip. Anyway. So you would think at this point, like, you're like, man, he killed his grandparents. Then he gets out and he starts picking up hitchhikers. He's decapitating them, raping their corpses. This couldn't get more fucked up.
Oh, but it does.
Because
that was all just preparation for the main event.
It really was. Because the amazing thing was that after he was, spent some time killing poor hitchhikers, he eventually moves back in with his mother at some point. I don't know what he was doing for work, but I think it's fair to say he was probably underemployed.
Probably. But he's very tall. People like tall people, though.
Well, yeah.
His name was Dave.
So he was the one who had that they paraphrased his quote for American Psycho.
Right.
And what was it, Dave? Something like...
It's like, well, basically, something like, when I see a pretty woman walk by, I don't know if I want to kiss her or put her head on a stick.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was, part of me wants to take her out on a date and be real nice to her. And the other one, a part of me wonders what her head would look like on a stick.
Go on.
You know what Ed Gein said about women?
Ed Gein, maitre d' canal bar?
No, serial killer, Wisconsin, 50s.
What did Ed say?
He said, when I see a pretty girl walking down the street, I think two things. One part of me wants to take her out and talk to her, be real nice and sweet and treat her right.
And what the other part of him think?
What her head would look like on a stick.
I need to watch that movie right now. I need to watch that movie right now.
It's such a good movie. But you know what? He was wrong. Of course, it wasn't Ed Gein. It was Ed Kemper.
Right.
Let me see if I can find the actual quote, but I'll look later. But anyways, so after he gets, he's building up to something here. So I feel like some killers,
Something
like,
great.
they find, like, something they like to do, and they just keep doing it. And then some of them really escalate. And he was really escalating it. I don't know. He did actually hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of interviews with some, psychologist or something that you can find all of his interviews. He really liked to talk, and he was a smart guy. But like any, psychopathic, sociopathic killer, who knows how much was true. But
he's so great. He's like the Bill Hicks.
To me, he's like the boogeyman, really. Like, so what he does eventually is God, I gotta actually find this. Okay, so he moves back in with his mother at some point. The mother that he had mother issues with his whole life. She was overbearing, abusive. She sent him off to live with his grandparents. She didn't want him. She didn't like him.
How do you think he said mother? Like, say it like he would say it.
Mother.
Come on, do your man voice.
Mother. I can't do a voice for a guy who's 6'9".
Mother. Hey mom. Mom.
So his mom.
Mom.
who didn't have enough fucking issues in her life. Her name was also Clarnell, which is the worst name for a woman ever.
Hey, Clarnell, I'm taking the car out tonight.
So so he moves back in with his mother in 1973. He's living with his mother. So he's waiting for his mother to come home one night. And he wakes up when he hears her come home. He goes in and his mother's sitting in her bed reading a book. She sees him come in her room, and this is what she says to him. He later tells the police. He says that she said, "I suppose you're going to want to sit up all night and talk now." What a bitch, man. Although I can see you've got your big, dopey adult son living with you, and you're like, Jesus Christ, you didn't come and talk to me about your issues all night.
You think you're a man? You're so tall but so small.
Oh, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just creepy. Anyway, so he goes, "No, good night." So then, after poor Clarnell, or not so poor Clarnell, because I feel like she probably was pretty abusive. In fact, I heard that at one point when he was a kid, they locked him in the basement because of, she was afraid he was going to attack his sisters.
Well, he did murder several.
I know. So it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? The Ed Kemper murdering women, or his mom thinking he was? I mean, maybe she had a vibe. Did she create a monster, or was he a monster from the get-go, and she just kind of
either way, she created a monster in some capacity.
Well, we'll never know. But anyways, he this was sort of his coup de grace right here. He comes back after she's asleep.
Wait, how do I say it?
You said coup de la grace. There is no la.
Coup de la grace.
No, coup de grace.
It's such a hilarious joke in Laura's family. They always say coup de la grace because I say that once.
Idiot.
That's the real coup de la grace.
Okay, so anyways, back to the murder. Anyway, this is pretty fucking brutal. So after his mom falls asleep, he comes back into her bedroom, bludgeons her to death with a claw hammer, slits her throat with a knife. Then he decapitates her.
Naturally, yes.
And what do you think he does with her head?
I hope he fucks it.
He did.
Well, there you go.
Yep. And then he used it as a dartboard. He said he put,
Go Ed!
He said he put her head on a shelf and screamed at it for an hour and threw darts at it. He was working some stuff out.
Oh my God, was he playing? I guess he wasn't playing like heavy metal.
Then he
that
smashed her face in, and then this was really the coup. This was really the coup de la grace. This is the true coup de la grace.
Coup de la grace. Coup de la grace, ladies.
Coup de grace. This is his true. This was like his apex moment. He must have just been like, yes, after he did this, because here's what he...
After he threw darts at a severed head that he had sex with.
Yes, he was not done.
There's more. Oh my God.
He cuts out her tongue and her larynx, which is a voice box, if you don't know that, if you're not scientifically inclined. Cuts out her voice box and her tongue, puts them in the garbage disposal, and runs the garbage disposal.
It's a metaphor.
It is a metaphor, and then he later says the garbage disposal couldn't break down the vocal cords because they're like fibrous muscle, right? So they spit the vocal cords back out into the sink, and he says, this was his quote, "That seemed appropriate, as much as she'd bitched and screamed and yelled at me over so many years."
The poor guy
couldn't even grind up her vocal cords.
Oh, that's awesome. That is, I mean...
Then he just thought, you know what? I've done enough. Oh, wait a minute. Had sex with his mother's corpse, hid it in a closet, and went out to the bar. By the way, he liked to hang out at a cop bar, and the cops were all kind of buddies with him there, and they called him Big Ed. He had actually tried to become a cop, but he was too tall.
What?
So yes. They have, like, restrictions.
We only have the one car, Ed.
He wanted to be, like, a motorcycle cop, I think, too.
That makes sense, yeah.
I mean, you're almost 7 feet tall, dude. You cannot.
Maybe a convertible cop, you know.
Yeah.
Why could he be too tall for a motorcycle?
I don't know.
My God, Ed.
Anyways, then his mother's unfortunate best friend, when he got back from the bar, his mother's unfortunate best friend, he invites her over for dinner. Not sure why he did this last step, but he invites his mother's best friend over for dinner, strangles her to death, decapitates her, and then spends the whole night lying there with her dead body, then stuffs her in the closet, and leaves a note for the police, yada, yada, yada. He calls from a phone booth later and confesses, and he's now in prison. But, you know...
This is maybe getting misconstrued.
That was the most, like...
I mean, the whole line of the body.
Why
kind
no
of
one's
thing,
made a movie out of? Well, you can't really make a movie like
I could.
that's too gruesome.
Nah,
that movie would be rated X.
It could be like a Slayer video. I mean, have you seen those Slayer videos?
Did you see that movie Found? That sounded like it was based on this.
I read the
I read a
premise.
synopsis and I thought,
It falls apart.
I can't.
There's like some racial element in there, like you only have to
I
kill
didn't
black
know
girls
that.
or something.
I didn't
or-
know about that part, but I think he does something Ed Kemper-esque to his mother at the end.
Well, he does, but the problem with that movie is it's like it's cool that his brother's killing people, but like he only wants to kill black people, which makes the whole movie less fun. It's like, oh, you gotta be like a racist serial killer. I mean, can't you just be one of the?
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, I keep putting that on my ass too, but
No, I don't know.
yeah, I'm more offended by the racism than I am about the beheading. No, the Ed Kemper stuff, man, that is just brutal and metal, and it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I feel like when they're saying, like, he's lying there with a body, and, like, you know, there are a lot of occasions in a man's life when you're lying next to things because you just don't... What else are you going to do? Like, I mean, if you're single, there's no one around, maybe you have a pizza or a Hot Pocket, and then you put the wrapper on your chest, and then it falls between the couch, and you're like... All right, I could go get up and throw this away. It's kind of uncomfortable, but I'm really comfortable on this couch, and I'm watching a show right now and a movie, and next thing you know, you wake up in the morning and there's like wrappers all over you, and if somebody came in right then, they'd be like, "Oh man, you're living in sloth. You're covered in Hot Pocket wrappers," and you're like, "Okay, I just fell asleep. I mean, I was tired. I was hurting." And so, I mean, I don't want to judge him too harshly.
Are
for,
you
like,
defending his choice to lie next to his mother's best friend's corpse all night
was
before
tired.
shoving her in the closet?
It's
He
a lot of
must have
work.
been tired.
Yeah,
he
it's-
just murdered 2 women, raped his mother in several ways, threw darts to her head for an hour. I mean, that's a lot of dart throwing. I mean, that was emotionally must have been exhausting.
or exhilarating.
We
I guess-
usually don't make this light of murders. I feel like we're really. I mean,
How many people?
Rest
would,
in peace.
Rest in peace,
mothers.
But if you're gonna, I mean, like, I feel like most men, given that if they had a severed head,
Ugh.
would stick their dick in it at some point.
Ew. Well, that's disgusting.
Okay, find 10 men, give them truth serum, and say, if you had an exact...
I hope they would all say no. And the ones
Okay,
that don't are
yeah.
serial killers.
Okay, let's say this. Okay, no, bullshit. Let's say that you had a woman who looked a lot like Britney Spears in her prime.
You know
and,
what?
And her head falls off, and the police aren't going to... The ambulance
Oh my
isn't going to come
God.
for 24 hours. And you're like, okay, better yet, you're in a ski lodge. There's an avalanche. You're with Britney Spears. She's 25. Britney Spears slips and falls, Liam Neeson wife style, and dies. Her body's warm. And, like, you get ready to go, oh, we can't get there for 3 days. And it's just you and Britney's perfectly preserved corpse. And you're like, well... I mean...
This is the man I married.
Just saying. Okay, do you think most guys would at least, like, undress her and look at her naked body a little bit? Take some pictures?
Jesus, I don't know, because I'm not a man, and that scares me.
I just feel like if
you
you're
die,
trapped...
that's it.
Hey,
I'm
you're... Okay,
I
let's say-
already kind of worry that you're a serial killer, so.
Or better... I'm not, probably.
Oh, God.
Better yet, okay, you're buried under... Okay, the lodge is
editing all
covered
this
in...
out.
We're not this part, just saying it. The lodge is covered in snow. You can't get out. You don't know if you're ever going to get out. It's you and Britney Spears' corpse, perfectly preserved corpse, and it's just, you're like, oh man, you got no phone, nothing to read, you're just looking at her beautifully preserved body, and
Why
it's
is it
cold
Britney out of all women, you're picking Britney Spears?
in her prime, yeah.
In her prime, Britney Spears, that's the best you can come up with?
If I'm going to have sex with a dead body, probably Britney Spears' perfectly preserved dead body would be up there. Whose dead body would you have sex with?
Nobody's. That's gross. That's disgusting.
Oh, come on.
Dead bodies start to decompose immediately.
Okay, if you had to pick
They're
some,
cold.
if you had to pick some hot guy...
It is not a person anymore. It is just.
okay, better yet. Imagine
Ugh.
Tom Hardy.
This is too gross. I don't want to talk about
Okay,
this.
Tom Hardy.
No, I'm not talking
No,
about
he's not dead.
it.
He's not dead.
No.
He's not dead. Tom Hardy's having sex with you. You're riding on top of him, and all of a sudden, something falls on his head and crushes it.
I scream bloody murder and jump off. I swear to
That's
God.
where you and I differ.
Come on. Please.
I'm
tell-
joking. I'm joking.
Yes,
mostly.
thank you. You
Yeah.
are joking. You would not have sex with the corpse. You're not Ed Kemper.
I wouldn't have sex. I wouldn't kill someone who has sex
but
with a corpse.
come on, stop it.
What?
What? I'm not. I hope I don't die next to you.
I wouldn't have sex with your corpse. I've already had sex with you alive. I mean, that'd be a downgrade. I'm just saying, assuming I had never had sex with Britney Spears, if she's dead, that's probably my best chance
This
to
is
get
going
with
on
it.
too much. We're
Sorry.
editing this down. This is
Fine.
ridiculous. It's good.
Okay, so one more honorable mention here, which I want to ask you about. I want to pull you about here.
Okay.
You know a lot about this guy. Oh, but basically, back to Ed Kemper real quick.
Yes.
I just want to say briefly, I would compare him to Bill Hicks as a comedian. He's the Bill Hicks of serial killers. underrated, very funny.
Yeah.
Everybody knows
Isn't
about
there some
him.
weird conspiracy theory that Bill Hicks is Alex Jones?
Yes, there is, and it's a wonderful one.
Oh my god.
Probably because it pisses off Alex Jones. Bill Hicks was very left-wing. He, and,
Did he die?
Yeah, he had a very Andy Kaufman-esque death. He died very young of a rare form of cancer, and he was, I don't know, very ahead of his time, very left-wing, very, Tool dedicated an album to him, and, that's probably my favorite Tool song, where they learn to swim, is about Bill Hicks, about L.A. falling into the ocean.
Didn't know that. Can I say one more thing about Ed Kemper? This is, so yeah, I mean, really, this kind of goes to show that his entire career of murder was building up to murdering his mom, because when he was asked after his arrest why he called the cops and turned himself in, and by the way, when he called and told them, they didn't believe him at first because they knew him from the bar.
Of course.
He said, "The original purpose was gone. It wasn't serving any physical or real or emotional purpose. It was just a pure waste of time. Emotionally, I couldn't handle it much longer. Toward the end there, I started feeling the folly of the whole damn thing. And at the point of near exhaustion, near collapse, I just said to hell with it and called it all off."
That's awesome.
My God. I mean, whew.
One quick question before we go. And by the way, thank you so much. This is a bonus episode. We're almost done. I'm going to close it out with a song from Eels called It's a Motherfucker. And don't tell them, because I'm probably not going to pay for the copyright or the usage. But what was up with Ted Bundy and his mom? That was a fucked up situation too, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. Ted Bundy. People like to say Ted Bundy had a fucked up, family and home life, but actually, and I mean, I don't know, but from the things I've read about Ted Bundy, and this was not that uncommon back in the old days. His mother, he thought was his sister, and he was raised by his grandparents because his mother was very young and he didn't know his real father. But according to things that I've read, it didn't sound like his mother was abusive. She remarried a man who had adopted him, or was either adopted him or he was just, a good stepfather, whatever. He changed that was to Bundy. He changed his name to Bundy. So no, he did not have an abusive childhood. He tried to later say, I mean, he was just, whatever. No. He has no mommy issue that can explain anything. He just completely
just
fucking
fucked
nuts.
up. Well, guys, have a great Mother's Day. We are going to come back later this month with an episode.
With a real episode with real research and more detail, and it won't just be us bullshitting about.
Yeah, this is
murders.
Fun. We're having fun here. This is a fun episode.
Yes.
Just have a good Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yep, make some bad decisions. Eat
some brunch.
Lots of brunch. Try and tell us what you had for brunch on our Facebook page. We love you. And again, I kind of screwed up the plug in the last download, so I'm going to say it again. Check out Ryan Sean O'Reilly and his writings. And check out Ida Klein and Tony Zaret. Funny guy. I stole one of his jokes I've been sitting on since I was 16 or 17 years old.
Wow. It's a long time to wait.
Tony's... Honest to God, I always say he's one of the funniest guys I know. I think he was ahead of his time. Now, he's older. I think he might be right at his time, possibly behind it. But, he was
Still
definitely
funny.
ahead of it. He's fucking hilarious. Yeah, Tony Zaret.
Awesome.
So, that clam joke was just
It's a good
the
one.
funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. So, all right. Stay
Happy
safe.
Mother's Day. Love you, Mom.
It's a motherfucker. Love you, Mom, too. Please, God, Mom, don't listen to the show. All right. And we're out of here. That was fun.
It's a motherfucker being here without you. Thinking about the good times, thinking about the bad. And I won't ever be the same. It's a motherfucker getting through a Sunday, talking to the walls, just me again. But I won't ever be.
Thank you once again for listening to How to Avoid Murder and Other Awkward Situations. If you're listening to this, that means you haven't been murdered, and we've done our job. Make sure you check us out on Facebook at How to Avoid Murder, or online on the World Wide Web at avoidmurder.com. And until next time, stay safe.